Use a microhematocrit tube to put 1 drop of blood on a microscope slide. Using your dominant hand, place the edge of a spreader slide at a 45-degree angle on the microscope slide in front of the blood drop. Gently pull the slide back to allow the blood drop to spread to the edges of the slide. Rapidly push the slide forward to make the smear, keeping gentle, equal pressure throughout the process. The goal is to produce a feathered edge where blood cells are so spread out that they can be counted and evaluated individually. Diff-Quick staining solutions can be used to make it easier to differentiate between cells. Once the blood smear has dried, dip it 5 times into each of these stains in the demonstrated order. Rinse off the excess stain with distilled water. Pop the slide under a microscope and scroll through the feathered edge using progressively increased magnification. You may need to add oil to the slide to use the highest magnification. Before packaging, a sterility test strip is placed inside the package. These will change color when the conditions inside the packet have met the threshold for sterilization. If I want to sterilize these suture scissors, I will load them in the package with the handle side first, then seal it closed and place it in either a steam autoclave or an ethylene oxide gas sterilizer. The paper backing will let the steam or ethylene oxide into the packet to sterilize the scissors, and the plastic can withstand temperatures of over 134 degrees Celsius. During surgery, the pouch is opened aseptically and the surgeon can grab the tool directly from it. To measure total protein levels, put the blood in microhematocrit tubes and seal the ends with some clay. Place the tubes in a centrifuge with the clay side pointing out. Don't forget to screw the lid back on so that the tubes don't go flying all over the place. Then close the top and let it spin for 10,000 revolutions per minute for 5 minutes. While it's spinning, instead of wasting your time, go calibrate your refractometer. This is done by placing some distilled water on the prism and checking to make sure that the USG reading is at 1. As you can see here, it's a bit off. Don't worry, I fixed it. After taking the tubes out of the centrifuge, you'll notice that the blood has separated into 3 layers. The proteins we are looking for are in the plasma, so use a diamond pen to score the glass above the buffy coat. Then you can break it in half with your hands. Transfer the plasma to the refractometer and check the plasma protein reading, which in this case is about 8.2 grams per 100 milliliters. Use a microhematocrit tube to put 1 drop of blood on a microscope slide. Using your dominant hand, place the edge of a spreader slide at a 45-degree angle on the microscope slide in front of the blood drop. Gently pull the slide back to allow the blood drop to spread to the edges of the slide. Rapidly push the slide forward to make the smear, keeping gentle, equal pressure throughout the process. The goal is to produce a feathered edge where blood cells are so spread out that they can be counted and evaluated individually. Diff-Quick staining solutions can be used to make it easier to differentiate between cells. Once the blood smear has dried, dip it 5 times into each of these stains in the demonstrated order. Rinse off the excess stain with distilled water. Pop the slide under a microscope and scroll through the feathered edge using progressively increased magnification. You may need to add oil to the slide to use the highest magnification. If you have angled skin flaps and want to bring them together without compromising blood supply, you can use the corner stitch. In this case, there are 4 skin flaps caused by an X-shaped lesion. The skin is entered through one of the flaps, and it's taken through the subcutaneous tissue of the next 2 flaps, and finally brought back to the skin surface through the 4th flap. And the surgeon's knot is securely tied to bring all the edges together. The rest of this lesion can be repaired through simple interrupted sutures. As far as we know, surgery is a profession that began in India around 800 BC. When ancient surgeons used skin flaps from foreheads to rebuild amputated noses. So plastic surgery may have been the first type of surgery to have ever been performed, meaning the term plastic surgery came before the invention of plastic. So contrary to popular belief, the plastic in plastic surgery does not refer to the synthetic material, but comes from the Greek word plastikos, meaning to mold. Plastic surgery is also commonly performed on animals, but don't worry, plastic surgery is not the same as cosmetic surgery. Although cosmetic surgery is a type of plastic surgery, not all plastic surgery is cosmetic surgery. Plastic surgery aims to restore the function and appearance of tissue to as close to normal as possible. This includes tumor removals, fixing congenital defects, or trauma. On the other hand, in cosmetic surgeries, changes are made to tissues that have no functional issues. Since animals most likely don't care about how they look, many cosmetic surgeries such as tail docking and ear cropping are becoming illegal to perform on animals, and camels enhanced with Botox, lip fillers, and facelifts are being disqualified from beauty contests in Saudi Arabia. Everyone can learn to suture on fake skin as a cool hobby to enhance dexterity or in preparation for a career in medicine and surgery. But which is the most satisfying suture pad to practice on? I've gone through a lot of these and can confidently say the Suture Buddy pad is incredibly satisfying, while still mimicking the feel of suturing real skin. It's also highly durable and the best one for beginners thanks to the raised rims of the lacerations, which really make it easier to learn proper technique before moving on to those flush with the skin surface. Additionally, this is the only pad I've seen with portholes to practice practice closures and things like purse string sutures. It's also the only one I've found that comes with a skin stapler and staple remover to practice your chopstick method of stapling skin and other ninja level skills. Never ever wear your stethoscope around your neck or else your skin oils will rot the tubing. But if you absolutely must wear it this way, prevent it from flopping around by taking the chest piece and slipping it in between the ear tubes. Always hang the stethoscope with the earpieces facing towards you because every stethoscope has a front and back thanks to the ear tube's angled design which aligns with your ear canals. Wearing it this way means you can grab the stethoscope and pop it in without flipping it around. Wearing the ear tips the wrong way around will obstruct sound so you won't hear properly. Only one of these diaphragms can be on at a time. To avoid going deaf while trying to figure out which of them is on, instead of tapping, just check which side the tiny dot is on. To oscillate, hold the chest piece between your index and middle fingers. This makes it easier to vary the pressure you put on the diaphragms. Most modern stethoscopes have a tunable diaphragm, so when you apply light pressure, the diaphragm vibrates more freely, picking up low frequency sounds like murmurs. And when you apply firm pressure, it tenses the diaphragm, restricting its vibration to amplify high frequency sounds like normal heart and breath sounds or wheezes. If you have a dual head stethoscope like this, the smaller side is the bell that's used for detecting low frequency sounds. But if you have a pediatric diaphragm on the bell side, how on earth do you take it off to expose the bell? This hand coordination challenge is super hard but can make you a better surgeon. Hold both hands in fists and extend the pinky of one hand with the thumb of the other and vice versa. Doing surgery requires unsynchronized hand movements. Evolution did not select for brains that could easily split attention to perform conflicting fine motor tasks because that wasn't needed for survival at the time. Instead, your brain prefers synchronized and mirrored movements for paired body parts. As early humans survived by hunting and gathering, these activities favored bilateral coordination where both hands worked together or mirrored each other. That's why when you extend one thumb, the other thumb wants to extend too, even though you know you should be extending the pinky instead. Another good exercise is spinning index fingers in opposite directions. This is the hardest surgeon hand exercise that no one can do without a lot of practice due to how our brains and bodies are wired. I'll show you a hack to get the hang of it quickly. Practice holding your fingers over a table. First start spinning your non-dominant finger, swiping up on the table during each rotation. Now stop and start spinning your dominant finger in the opposite direction, swiping down on the table during each rotation. Once you get the hang of doing each finger individually, do the swiping motion simultaneously, attempting to complete full circles with each swipe. Once you become a pro at this, slowly move away from the table. Most surgeons don't play golf, but have a bunch of golf balls lying around everywhere because they are perfect for exercising your hands to improve dexterity. I like to practice with surgical gloves on because the slippery surface makes it a little harder. Start with 2 golf balls in your dominant hand and try to make them orbit each other. In your right hand, it will be easier to spin them around clockwise, but work on spinning them in both directions until your hand gets super tired and you can't do it anymore. Then do the same with your non-dominant hand. Once you can do this quickly and without losing the balls, add a 3rd golf ball. You want to spin them around so that each ball falls into the place of the other, so the balls should always remain in the shape of a triangle. If they ever form a straight line, it means you are doing something wrong. If you're not good enough and keep on losing balls, start off holding your other hand as a wall to prevent the balls from rolling away. As you get better, try getting rid of the wall, but don't rush yourself. It may take weeks or months to get to this stage. If even this is too difficult for you, put the balls on a table and do the exercises upside down. Then once you're a pro, casually do both hands simultaneously in your free time. So go grab some balls from your nearby golf course and get practicing. And you can get the surgical gloves for 10% off using code VETVentures at thesuturebuddy.com.